Tourism and the housing crisis. 10 questions in 10 minutes. Hello, I'm Angeliki Mitropoulou, a researcher at Vienna Institute of Alternative Policies. I would like to warmly thank KMOP and all the coordinators and participants in this meaningful initiative for inviting me to contribute to the dialogue on housing in Europe. I've chosen to talk about a really hot topic, which is the growing connection between tourism and the housing crisis. Over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through 10 key questions that explore how tourism, investment flows, and housing affordability intersect, and why these issues matter for people, communities, and the future of our cities and islands. How is the growth of tourism linked to the housing crisis in Greece? Tourism brings opportunities, indeed jobs, investment, and international visibility, but also intense pressure on housing. When entire neighborhoods turn into short-term rental zones, long-term tenants are pushed aside. In cities like Athens and in island destinations such as the Kyklades, especially during peak summer, local families, as well as essential workers like teachers and doctors, struggle to find affordable homes. Apartments, once meant for residents, are now used as tourist accommodation. Tourism reshapes not only how homes are used, but who can afford to live in them. According to ENO's June 2025 Quality of Life survey, more than 6 in 10 respondents now consider housing the main source of inequality in Greece, even more than income disparities. This feeling is particularly strong in tourism and coastal regions where locals see their chances of finding a home shrinking year after year, at least for those that do not own a house. And this brings us to one of the key factors driving real estate speculation, the golden visa. So, what role do golden visa programs play in this dynamic? Golden visa programs grant residence permits to non-EU citizens who invest a certain amount of money in country, usually through real estate purchases. In Greece, this started at 250,000 euros and recently increased to 500,000 in high demand areas like central Athens. While originally designed to attract capital after the financial crisis, these programs have channeled most investment into luxury properties rather than affordable housing. Developers follow the money, building high end apartments, while average households are priced out. Many of these properties remain empty, used only to secure residents' rights. But Greece is far from alone. Similar patterns appear across southern Europe. So, is this just a Greek issue or is it happening elsewhere? This is a Mediterranean, even global phenomenon. In Portugal, golden visas and short term rentals pushed Lisbon's housing to breaking point. Rents soared, locals protested, and in 2023 the government ended the program altogether. Barcelona capped Airbnb licenses while other cities introduced taxes on tourist apartments. All these cases show how unregulated tourism and real estate speculation can erode the social fabric of local communities. And as investors reshape the market, we must also look at those who sustain the tourism economy, the workers. What about the people who work in tourism? Can they find housing? Ironically, the people who keep tourism alive often cannot afford to live where they work. It's not just teachers and doctors. Seasonal and migrant employees face severe housing shortages. On Mykonos, for example, some hotel workers have been found sleeping in cars, gym rooms, shipping containers. In Ibiza, workers live in vans or pay extreme rents for shared rooms. When housing becomes an investment product, workers lose access not only to a roof over their heads, but to dignified living conditions, running water, cooling during extreme heat, privacy, and safety. As a survey shows, Greeks now see housing as a matter of dignity and inclusion in general, not merely economics. The inability to find decent accommodation feeds feelings of insecurity and exclusion. Beyond these personal struggles lies another issue: the hidden cost tourism imposes on local communities. So, why is tourism described as an invisible burden on housing and infrastructure? Behind the glossy Instagram photos, tourism statistics, local systems are under enormous strain. Tourists use water, electricity, transport, and generate tons of waste, but often pay little back, especially day trippers. Local authorities must cover the extra cost of maintaining roads, utilities, and waste systems, while the economic benefits go largely to private businesses. According to the Travel Foundation's Destinations at Risk, the invisible burden of tourism, the real costs of maintaining infrastructure and natural resources are rarely measured at the destination level. This type of invisible burden leaves municipalities with tight budgets and declining service quality for residents. So, how can destinations rebalance tourism's benefits and costs? Are there any financial or policy measures that can help? Some steps are already being discussed. Greek islands like Santorini and Mykonos plan to introduce small daily fees for cruise visitors, or they have already done so. Elsewhere, cities such as Venice and Barcelona apply tourism taxes to support local infrastructure or housing projects. However, there are no easy solutions, and the state must play a leading role. Public authorities need to establish a clear framework that protects both people and places, ensuring that growth serves residents first. Without throughout regulation, even good ideas risk being uneven or short-lived. And while governments must act, communities themselves also need protections from displacement. What can be done to protect communities from that tendency? Several policy options exist. Authorities can cap the number of short term rentals, tax vacant or luxury properties, and strengthen affordable housing programs. Landlords can be encouraged to rent long term, while zoning laws can safeguard mixed neighborhoods. At its core, this is about recognizing that housing is not just a market commodity, it is a social right and a pillar for community life. But governments cannot act alone. Those who profit more from tourism must also share a responsibility. So, could the tourism industry itself take responsibility for the housing stress it creates? A few companies have begun to respond. Airbnb has donated funds to homelessness initiatives, and some hotel groups have built staff housing. Yet, these are isolated gestures. For meaningful change, responsibility must become systemic, not optional. Linking businesses' permits or tax incentives to social contribution could ensure that tourism growth benefits the communities that sustain it. And that brings us to the people who can make it the biggest difference: citizens themselves. How can they participate in shaping housing tourism policy? Change starts locally. Citizens can join consultations, support community housing projects, and demand fair rules for short term rentals. Initiatives like this one, bringing together people from different backgrounds, are crucial for reimagining how tourism can coexist with residents' rights. Real progress shapes and happens when policy reflects people's lived experiences, not just market interests. So, can tourism and the right to housing ever truly coexist? Is sustainable tourism compatible with the right to housing after all? We might say that yes, but only if tourism is managed with care, fairness, and foresight. Visitors bring value, but destinations must remain livable for those who call them home. When tourism revenues are reinvested locally, when workers are housed, and when communities are prioritized, everyone benefits. Um, it's not a trade off, it is a matter of balance and will. And that, in my opinion, lies in the heart of any truly sustainable development model. Thank you for listening.